What's up? Welcome back to the Lifeonaire Show podcast. Hope you've been tuning in for a long time, and if not, hopefully you will start to tune in. My name is Jason Wojo. On the Lifeonaire Show podcast, it's all about helping people live the life they want to live and creating a business to support that life. I am joined by my co-host, Polish Peter. What's up with you, man? How are you?
Good. Are you trying to be more like, I don't know, impactful or influential or more like professor-like with the glasses thing? Or
Oh, the
what's
glasses?
the deal there?
Yeah, dude. No, I'm just getting old, bro. Like I have readers on now. I'm like,
That's a better way to
reached the
describe it, yeah.
1.25, which I guess is the lowest level. But it's, dude, I have like 18 pairs of these things now because I need like it makes a difference. I feel so old. Like past year, I've started wearing these.
Well, 18 pairs of glasses?
No, I'm just kidding. I do have like 6 though. Dude, like,
I know you're old.
Oh, bro, don't worry. It's coming for you too, bro. Don't worry.
Well, I've been wearing contacts since I was like 20-some years old, so...
That's not going to help you, though. It's different.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, let's move on. Squirrel, let's conversation.
All
Let's
right,
keep
man.
going.
So, hey, listen up. This is going to be a real episode here in that we're going to talk about something that can be difficult for people. And it is this. How do you give yourself permission to be you? How do you dissociate and distance yourself from the opinions of others, the expectations of others? How do you maintain boundaries and move forward with the confidence that, you know, this is the way you want to live your life? Because the truth is, like, if we rewind, you know, real talk here, we've been doing Get a Life Getaways and Lifeonaire events now, man, I don't know, I don't even know how long. Like,
It's been at least 10, 11 years, man.
yeah, maybe
Maybe
longer for me. I've doing it before you too. And like, we see the same things pop up over and over again. We spend a full day at that event, by the way, really helping people unpack kind of why they are the way they are. And I don't mean that in a weird way or a negative way, but like, you know, so many people are living kind of the shell of a life that others have encouraged or wanted for them or, you know, pushed them down that road sometimes. And like, it can be really hard to dissociate from that. And, you know, we've had people, even had family members like almost like disown them essentially because they have decided they didn't want to kind of act a certain way or be a certain way. And I don't mean like in some sort of like dramatic, like they want to, you know, I don't know, become addicts or something like that. But like, I'm talking like literally like even like they don't want to do like a white collar job. They want to be a carpenter, for instance, or something else. And it can be very hard to have that confidence to live your life, right?
Yeah, I mean, got examples because think about it. I want to set the context for this conversation as far as example. You mentioned, you know, you want to be a carpenter, not a white collar job. I mean, we've had many of different, you know, people coming to our events. Like you mentioned the woman, you know what I mean? You want to mention that or?
Which one?
The woman that, you know, with the kids.
Oh, yeah. So we had a woman at an event, like we're on day 2 and she came into the event and you could tell she just wasn't super like, you know, warm and friendly. And by the way, when somebody's like that, there's something going on. Like, don't look at them and be like, oh, they're mean. They're this, they're like, that's not it at all. Don't be like that. Like it's that they're struggling with something. And she raises her hand. She's like, you know what? My whole life I was led to believe like I'm less than as a woman because I don't want kids. Now, she never told anyone she wanted kids. She just kind of shrugged her shoulders and just, you know, said, you know, like the right guy wasn't here, wasn't the right time. And she made excuses when everybody would say like, oh, how come you're not a mom? How come you don't have kids? And like, meanwhile, like she just didn't want kids. And listen, like I'm a dad, you're a dad. You know, I can't imagine not being a father, but like, my vision is not everybody else's. And actually, you know, I know a lot of people that don't have kids and they don't want kids. And there are things that you sacrifice when you have kids and you're not just able to get up and go like just as easily as you could, you know, if you had a family. And so like, so at the event, she basically said like, you guys have just, for the first time I've realized like, it's okay that I don't want kids. I am not less of a person. I am not a bad human. I am not like, you know, I'm me, and I feel like I now have the permission to be me. Yeah. And that was a huge moment for her, man. And I think that version shows up for everybody in some different form or fashion.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I mean, obviously, you know me. I mean, very passionate about this particular specific topic. I mean, I wrote a book about it. You know what I mean? Getting back to authenticity, be authentic. Because I think what ends up happening in our lives as we grow, we're little kids and we're sponges, and we, start looking to who do I need to be, how do I need to act, and all that kind of stuff. In some shape or form, at some point in life, we put on this mask, sort of, that we act in order for something, in order to be accepted, in order to be loved, in order for whatever it might be. And we start to act, but deep down inside, there is this kind of a tug of war that happens, that we're feeling like there's something is off, something is missing, something's not right, because, I want to be this way, but I have to be this way in order for something to happen. And what ends up happening when we are acting this way, we are not being ourselves, And full disclosure, I am not saying, because obviously I don't believe it, that you have to be an a-hole, because that's who you truly are. Because I don't think that someone who is very, kind of like a angry person or whatever it might be, I don't think that's their truth, who they are supposed to be, kind of a thing. And when you start looking from that perspective of looking for giving yourself permission to be the true person that you are, all of a sudden it gives you a lot of peace. It's almost like this weight falls off your shoulders. And you can actually, act in a way that, it's like real you. And you don't have to do something in order. I'll give you an example. When we talked about this on the particular podcast about my accent. I tried to get rid of it for a very long time. Didn't want to do it. And I kept resisting it over and over and over again. And the way I was showing up in life, I was not open to talk to anybody. Like you would never find me on a podcast, basically. And when I finally came to the realization that this is what I was made, this is what God made me to be, and whether it's a good, bad, or ugly, I have an accent. It is what it is. Let's use it to my advantage. Make fun of it or whatever. We make fun of it at the events all the time. And all of a sudden, they give me this piece to just be and talk. And, people say that I sound like Gru. Sounds good. You know what I mean? I know I kind of make fun of it too, but it becomes this, now it's not so much a weakness, but it's just who you are. So when you look for yourself in whatever you have going on in your life, how you, like what people are saying, or you look at like it's a weakness or it's a whatever, start seeing like, what if I just give myself permission to accept it the way I am and the way I'm not? Because there's a lot of things that we're resisting. I don't like that about myself, or I wish I could be like this, but I can't. And then what ends up happening a lot of times, people end up in a relationship that they don't know who the other person is because of that whole conversation.
Well, I love Brene Brown's description of this a little bit. She talks about the distinction, a very, very, very important distinction of belonging versus fitting in. And it's a very different thing. Like, so fitting in is like, becoming kind of like what you're talking about, who you think you need to be so that you're accepted by these people in the situation, in this group or whatever. And versus belonging, which is like, that's the opposite. It requires you to show up as yourself. And, the problem is when you try to fit in, like it leaves you feeling more alone. It feels you feel less than, and even worse, like let's say you are rewarded for fitting in, and now all that happens is that you are further distanced from your true self because you feel like people love this version of me versus the real version of me. And by the way, I think this is also true for, like, for instance, celebrities who have to put on a face every time they leave their house because, they're going to be on TMZ or, so-and-so's a jerk. And people end up loving that actor for that role. And and think about this, like you're actually, actors in particular, like you're loved for your ability to be your character in a movie is loved. Like very few people, they'll go up to them and recite the name of the person in a movie they were in. Be like, hey, it's Billy Madison, right? And or an athlete, you're loved for your ability to perform. But what about like the real you that is more than the game you play, that's more than the movies you're in, that's more than how you show up in the world? And so like really figuring out a way to realize like that trying to fit in is the exact opposite of what you really need to come out as your true self. And we talk, I love this quote by Marianne Williamson. We've talked about this, our deepest fear, but basically long story short, at the end of this quote, look, you can look it up. Marianne Williamson, our deepest fear. She says like, us dimming our life does not empower the world, doesn't give anybody else the permission to also be themselves. And so by fitting in, we're also kind of like, we could be suppressing others' ability to be themselves too. And so it's only by stepping through that discomfort and that even that fear, the fear of rejection, the fear of like ostracism, the fear of like being different, that's the only solution we actually have to live the life we want.
Yeah, you know what? Think about it this way too: is one, we do this exercise at our events. I'm not going to spoil the whole thing, but at the end of the exercise, what people come to realize is that we are not that much different. You
Yeah.
know, that we are in the core level basically the same. And what ends up happening, we have similar fears. We might have different circumstances, different experiences in our lives. But at the end of the day, we want to be loved. We want to be appreciated. We want to be accepted. We want to be connected. Those kinds of things, right? So if you really look from that perspective, all of a sudden, maybe you start to put down this wall, put down this mask, put down this filter, whatever you want to call it, in order to show up in life in a certain way. Because you know that, by the way, when you do that, it gives other people the permission to do the same thing. So it's almost like becomes this ripple effect. And, I think one of the things that I've come to realize as we're doing these events, we've been doing this for like me and you for over 10 years now, is people say that like, this is like the first event that I feel like the people who are in front of the room kind of presenting, they're being real. You know what I mean? Like I am not putting any kind of a show on there. I'm just being me. I screw up words. I say certain things, make fun of it, or whatever it might be. And it ends up being, I think, much more fun. The event becomes fun. People are interacting in a different way. But look from the perspective how you can actually do it in your life. Because there is this permeating belief, and I think that's been put in the society that I have to avoid looking bad. I want to make sure that I'm looking good. And that keeps driving this bus of like, how do I make sure that I show up? You know what I mean? We have to be this way. We can't be this way. And who says? Who created those rules?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think when you start looking from the perspective, it starts to give us a permission to just be ourselves. And here's the thing. If you've been doing this for 10, 20, 30, 50 years, the question becomes, who really am I? Might be really difficult to answer. So, because I think a lot of people throughout this whole entire thing kind of lose themselves and who they really are. So, I think the exercise of sitting down when we talk about writing a vision, right? We talk about who do I need to become in order to be a great dad or be a business leader or whatever it might be. The way I believe that this happens when you start to experiment and look into who do I need to become, it's actually an exercise in getting back to your true self, to authentic self. Because let's say you start to find out, I need to be intentional. I need to be curious. I need to be, a present in life. Let's just go look from those three things. If you really think about it, when you were a little tiny kid, you were intentional, you were present, you were curious, right? So you kind of get back to your truth. And when you start doing that exercise, I think it's going to help you uncover who that person really is deep down inside.
Well, and I would also encourage you, like, if you feel like, the cost of like performing and like showing up is the way you think other people want you to show up. The cost of doing that is way, way higher than the cost of just showing up as yourself. And the only way you'll have real belonging and real connection is by being your true self. Like, and so I'd even consider like, and this could be like in terms of where you live, the size of your house. Like, hey, I feel like, do I need a 5,000? Maybe I'm happy in a 1,000 square foot house. Like, and by the way, like, and people are looking at me funny because they have like McMansions, or maybe I'm okay with driving an older model car, or maybe, I'm okay with, think of it this way, man. Almost everybody, like, think of some of the people maybe not even personally, but like you associate with things that are different. So for instance, like, I'm even thinking like, like Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook, or that always wears the exact same color t-shirt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you
Steve
have
Jobs used to wear same clothes. Yeah.
Yeah, like, but think about that. Everybody probably looked at him at first like, oh, like, what's the deal with him? So it's like, do you feel a pressure to dress a certain way? And that could be a little bit of an indicator, like, hey, are there other parts of my life that I'm feeling a pressure to be a certain way? And this is just a little micro test, that of whether this is affecting you in more larger dimensions. And really kind of just assessing that and stepping back, like, what do I do for me? What do I do that I believe to be true for me? And what's the gap there? Am I showing up in the world as a different person, and why? And why am I letting these things kind of influence me versus being me? And maybe that's, I think of someone like, we have a woman in life, and her name is Teresa Nelson, and Teresa wears glitter everywhere she goes, and her personality.
She spreads the glitter everywhere she goes.
Oh, bro, every time she she'll hug me, and I have glitter all over my clothes, and I'm like, oh gosh, what is my wife gonna say?
She's listening to this episode. She's gonna be like, yes, that's right.
Yeah, but her personality is also that way. Like, she is just like, I mean, this is like a liquid injection of like caffeine. Like, that's her personality. And yet I'm sure there are people who are like, oh, look at her. Like, she's like, why is she always so bubbly and energetic? And like, that's her. And she could tone it down if she wanted to, and it would hurt her soul. And she'd be robbing the world of that joy, right? And so, like, we all have this version of that in ourselves. And are we living it? Are we showing it? Are we embracing it and being proud of it even?
Yeah. So she's got glitter. I got accent. What you got? I mean, I don't know if there was anything like...
I mean, dude, obviously I got great hair.
Yeah, so this is what, and then you woke up, right?
Bro, I have invisible hair. That is my thing. Like, you just don't know. I have invisible hair. Like,
so now we just lost a whole bunch of people because they're like, okay, these two are living a lie.
These guys are idiots.
He thinks he's got invisible hair. The other guy thinks he's got an awesome accent. I don't know. No, but seriously, on the side of, if you really think about this, it takes a lot of courage. I just want to acknowledge that it takes a lot of courage to just be you. Yeah. You know what I mean, once you discover that, to giving yourself that permission, you are courageous, you know what I mean, to be able to do that. The other thing that I want you to consider is that you're listening to this particular episode is when it comes to this particular subject matter, by you being that authentic, real you, not only do you give other people permission, but what ends up happening is you finally start to let go of that fear. Because there is a fear that's driving this avoiding looking bad and making sure they're looking good. So when you start to do that, guess what? That fear no longer has so much power over you. And when that happens, guess what? You are not driven by fear. You are actually, like, fear is not, you can overcome the fear basically. And that's a huge growth aspect tool, because you can apply this to other areas of your life.
So I just had this recent, I think I shared this on a previous episode. I'll say it again. Like, so one of the things I'm trying to do more is, like, I want to start running. No, I'm not going to, like, that's a path that's not going to have a tangible effect on my life. But I do want to start running more. And
oh boy.
See, now listen. Yep. And so one of the things I'm like, hey, because I did I did track in college, right? Like, so I have some gifts that have lied dormant for a long time.
I would love to see a video, because like the way you walk, if you ran the same way the way you walk, like a duck kind of a thing, I don't know how that would work.
I will challenge you to a race, and I will beat you. I promise you. Like, now I might tear both my hamstrings in the process, but like, anyway, so check it out. So I want to start running, right? And one of the things I want to start doing is like do some like drills, like, back when we did track, you did your high knees and your skips and your like karaoke, and you do all these little agility drills. And I'm like, well, where am I going to do this? And I thought about my backyard, and then I thought about like on the sidewalk in front of my house. Yeah. And I literally had the thought of like, man, what are my neighbors going to think? Like, they're going to look at me like, what is this guy doing? Like, doing these like little acceleration drills and sprint, like, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, they're going to think I'm like, I'm going to feel stupid. I'm going to look foolish. And I'm like, oh my, I caught myself catching this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And dude, and think about it. Like, this shows up for us everywhere. Like what are we doing or not doing because we're afraid of looking bad, or afraid of being different, or afraid of what someone's gonna say? Like, who cares? Who cares? So what? My neighbors are gonna like gossip. Hey, did you see Jason? Like da 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 da. Like and what? Right?
So what I'm hearing is I'm gonna have to figure out how to get a hold of one of these neighbors and maybe like
Get their Ring camera footage.
So like I would love to see those videos. So no, but seriously, like think about it. Like that example that you just used, we do this all the time.
Yeah.
Pay attention to the thinking that's going on in your head.
I know.
Because think about it, going back to high school, you always look to belong to some kind of a group. Why? Because you want to be accepted, right? Whether it's jocks, whether it's soccer club or chess club or whatever it might be, right? So you start to develop this pretty early on. And the more you give yourself the permission to just be you, I think world becomes a lot more vibrant, peaceful. You actually have a lot more fun in life. And you actually, like one of the episodes that we just recently recorded talking about kids, you give your kids, your family members, permission to be themselves, though.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to grow up a lot more authentic in life.
That's right, man. Love it, dude. Well, hey, hope you guys got something out of this kind of rant style, random flow, just stream of consciousness episode, because it is an important thing, and it is something that really has an impact on how you will enjoy your life and the life you'll live and the regrets you may have if you don't. And so please just let us be part of your journey. If we can encourage you or support you in any way, please let us know. Of course, come join us in our Lifeonaire Facebook group and, posts in any way or email Peter or I. Our emails are publicly available, and you can just reach out to us, and we'd love to help you, because we're cheering for you.
I just want to say that if you're a spammer, don't email me.
Yeah, right. No spammers. Anyway, hope you guys got something out of the episode. We will see you next week, everyone. Take care.